What was it? It wasn't directly related to mental health. Yeah, that was it.
Talking.
What was that?
Cough.
We've talked about your wife quite a bit and your family, and how do you look after yourself more generally?
I mean, it's been difficult because of the situation that we find ourselves in with the economy. Of my way of dealing with mental health and keeping myself active and fit is going on stage and performing for that sort of hour and a half or however long it is that you're on stage. You can be whoever you want to be. As Freddie Mercury once said, it's a show, it's an act. You can be whoever you want to be, but while that time is on stage, you can let all the feelings of excitement, of anger, however you want, out with the way that you act. The problems are still going to be there when you come back, but being on stage and taking yourself away from the world, because the world around you has to stop, also gives you time to remove yourself from a situation. And me and Kerry have had words before. We've had normal sort of marriage arguments and stuff before going on stage, and maybe the way that I would have responded if it would have carried on would have been different how I'd responded after. Now, because we aren't allowed to do that anymore because all the venues are currently closed, and for me, I do a little bit of work on a radio station. The music's always on, and just occasionally I have to shut the lid on my laptop and go, I'm not doing it. I know I've got targets to meet, but I just need to take a bit of time out. I go and walk the dog occasionally just to get a bit of fresh air. But yeah, it's not easy. And luckily, I'm the sort of person that has a bit of an attitude where I get up every day and every day is a new day. And whatever happened yesterday, do you know what? Don't worry about it. You can't fix what's in the past, fix what's moving forward. That is a frustration that Kerry finds with me, especially if we've had an argument the day before and I'll wake up next day and pretend everything's okay. And she's not. She's still, sort of, we haven't fixed the issues from yesterday. But that to me is a way of my coping, and I've always been like that. I've changed the way that I deal with it with Kerry, and it might take a couple of days to go, we need to talk about what happened 2 days ago. And she's like, oh, now you want to talk about it, type of thing. But it fixes it, maybe not there and then, but a couple of days to think about, rather than, as I used to years ago, reacting straight away, and that reaction then creating further problems, and then that having a knock-on effect of how I felt, and I said how the attack would feel towards me wasn't an attack at all, especially if you remove yourself from the situation for a little bit. So gigging would normally be the way that I'd remove myself, but at the moment it is just doing other little things around the house and keeping the music on, really. I can't wait to get back out on stage. Maybe help lose a bit of weight as well.
Yeah, so that's interesting. So do you feel that, like, in an ideal situation, and this is a kind of fantasy situation, but a good way of dealing with mental health, whether it's in your own head or whether it's living alongside it, is, would the ideal situation be, one, something happens, two, you take a step back, three, you immediately get on stage. Like I said, it's not practical, but immediately get on stage, do your hour's performance or whatever. And then stage four is you come back and you're like, right, now I am ready to deal with this.
Yeah, that in my world, that would be an ideal situation. I don't think I set a stage in my back garden. I don't think the neighbours would be too impressed if I did that all the time.
No.
But yeah, because I think a lot of the problems that me and Kerry have had in the past is to try and tackle that situation there and then. And if we both have a little bit of time apart, you can change the way that you would react to that and deal with that situation, and the resolution to whatever the problem would be would normally tend to be resolved in a better way than reacting there and then. And for me and Kerry in the past, reacting immediately didn't solve it. It created the situation worse.
There's been a few good tips in this discussion, actually, but do you have any others you think that perhaps you've not mentioned?
I think if you've got a family like we have, children, I think spending time with them, doing stuff that you wouldn't normally do. And what I mean by that is, we live with 3 boys, the youngest being 10. Their lives evolve around electronics, iPads, PlayStations, Xboxes, you name it. And we can go days without actually seeing them unless it's feeding time and they're online. Take them away from their consoles and go out and do something with them, or play a board game. I know board games these days tend to be slightly frowned upon, but actually brings a family together. And just the other day, just the weekend actually, out of nowhere, an unplanned Nerf war happened at home. Out of nowhere, one of the children got a Nerf gun, and before you know it, Kerry was on her belly on the floor waiting for him to come downstairs to shoot. That turned into 2 hours of activity that she was absolutely exhausted from after. But that was 2 hours that happened, that was unplanned, and brought the family time close together. And even now they're already talking about buying new Nerf guns to go to some sort of Nerf park when we can do that. So yeah, spending time with your family and doing stuff that doesn't involve sitting in front of an electronic device all day long.
Well, thank you for that.
Pleasure, mate.